This is CBS. Coming up next on Channel 2 News, the Bulls end a fine season on an unhappy note as the Pistons move on to the finals. Here in Chicago, loyal Bulls fans were cheering them on to the bitter end.
Also on our news, Soviet leader Mikhail Gorbachev arrives in the Midwest after a 4-day summit with the president. And a terrible sight in southern Indiana as killer tornadoes devastate a town.
And we'll have the story of a brave young girl who was not about to let adversity cheat her out of her big day. That's all straight ahead on Channel 2.
Now save $1,600 on Ford Taurus, loaded with air conditioning, AM/FM cassette, and more.
My Ford dealer.
That's the design-leading Taurus for under $14,500 delivered.
Feel good about it.
That means for a limited time, you can get the award-winning Ford Taurus loaded for less than Honda Accord.
See a Ford dealer and feel good about it.
Don't just imagine delicious Carson's ribs sizzling in their tangy, mouth-watering sauce. Enjoy them at home today. Dial Carson's now and your complete rib dinner will be ready in no time. Carson's, the place for ribs. Dial 312-CARSONS.
During Midas-sized days, all Midas quality mufflers are 25% off installed and guaranteed. That's right. Nobody beats Midas. Nobody.
Channel 2, WBBM Television, Chicago.
Live from Chicago's news team. Channel 2's Weekend News.
The ups and downs, aches and pains, joys and sorrows of a long, tough season. And then, the moment of truth. And Michael Jordan and the Bulls go down to the wire for a chance at the NBA crown. But it was not to be. Good evening, I'm Mike Parker with Elizabeth Vargas, and tonight a bitter end to a great season. The Bulls whipped by the Pistons in the 7th and deciding game.
Let's get right to Howard Sudbury for the story. Howard?
Guess it would have been easier if it had been a little bit closer of a ball game, but nonetheless, they're not going anywhere. The Bulls were flying high after that easy win at the stadium Friday night, but they had that crash landing at the Palace this afternoon. They just can't get past this team. Detroit is still a little bit better overall and a lot better on their home court. Detroit advances 93-74. The Pistons opened it up in the second quarter. Mark Aguirre helped get him going, bringing in instant offense off the bench. And it was about over by halftime. Michael Jordan did what he could. He scored 31 points, and the Bulls made a run at him. They pulled within 11 a couple of times. And then the Pistons got busy again and opened it up. John Sally takes care of this one from Isaiah. Not much help for Michael Jordan in the game. He had 31, but the other Bulls were stone cold. Jordan, though, wasn't about to point any fingers when it ended.
Disappointed because I wanted to go further, and we didn't. And I'm not going to sit here and chew out my teammates for not doing the necessary things down the stretch or doing a ball game, because I was a part of it. And I'm going to take this and accept this loss as a learning experience and look forward to coming back and trying to improve for next season.
The Bulls had a couple of problems besides the Pistons today. John Paxson was out because of his sprained ankle. Scottie Pippen only scored 2 points in the game. He had a problem, a reason for that, and we'll get to that in sports a little bit later on.
Yeah, Howard, the Pistons were definitely the kings of the palace today. One of the reasons, probably the presence of their royal subjects, the fans. As Jim Avila tells us now, when it comes to court advantage, there's no place like home.
It was the one opponent not even Michael Jordan could overcome, the home court advantage. The Bulls seemed to turn into a different team when their bus pulled in to the Palace at Auburn Hills.
Sometimes on the road, you're in a hotel that you don't like the bed, that you can't get room service. Things are disturbing and distressing to you, but there's such a comfort zone you have, feeling that you're playing at home. You seem to run a little faster, you jump a little bit higher, you know the court is the same, the basket's the same size, but for some reason that adrenaline starts pumping.
The Chicago Stadium is louder, but the Pistons do their best to imitate the Bulls' home court. The Palace Stadium announcer urges fans on repeatedly, cueing their enthusiasm, and it works.
All I try to do is get the crowd into it. All I can do is sit back and try and help. Pretty simple task, but I try.
The Bulls won 3 games versus the Pistons, all at home. Because the Pistons had a better regular season record, the 7th deciding game was played here. And the sign was right. Michael could not get it this year. The same team suited up for the game, but the Bulls did not play the same way, at the same kind of level here at the sparkling new Palace, as they do at the dirty but comfortable stadium. Here, Bulls fans found little to cheer about, despite their long trip and even longer hopes.
The fans are the sixth man. They're the ones that make a difference. These guys haven't sat down the whole time. It's the same way we are at Chicago Stadium.
There are home court or home field advantages in nearly every sport. In basketball, it seems most pronounced because of the NBA's almost carnival-like atmosphere. For the Chicago Bulls, Michael Jordan or not, they played one too few games at the stadium. In Detroit, Jim Avila, Channel 2 News.
And the home court advantage will again be on the Pistons' side for the finals.
Here in the Chicago area, Bulls fans watched and hoped, but all in vain. But as Aldo Gandia reports, they tried to make the best of an unhappy afternoon.
Fans who found themselves away from a TV set when the game started stopped into places like appliance shops.
I'm heading to halftime so I can get back home.
Exhibitors at the Consumer Electronics Show attracted big crowds if newfangled TVs were set to Channel 2 and the Bulls.
A lot of people paying attention to the game and less attention to the show right now.
But by halftime, many fans were wondering if being outdoors wasn't a better idea. These firefighters were doubtful the Bulls would catch fire.
I think the Bulls stink so far, but they better get going.
Watering holes are always a popular place to congregate and cheer collectively.
You just get caught up, you yell, you're just really into it.
But when you go to places like this, you might have to run up against loud fans of the opposing team.
They're not really there, you know, I'm trying to block them out.
Well, I am kind of disappointed. Michael Jordan, the Bulls gave us a great thrill this year.
I knew we weren't going to win the Palace, so, but maybe next year and go Portland.
Wherever you watch today's game, if you're a Bulls fan, one thing is certain. You'll want to forget where you were and what you saw as soon as possible. Aldo Gandia, Channel 2 News.
Well, don't give up too soon. The Bulls begin their 1990-91 season in October.
Still to come tonight on Channel 2 News. 8 dead, scores injured as tornadoes ravage Indiana.
Also ahead on our news this Sunday, President Bush and the Soviet leader part friends, but with grave differences. And a story of a teenager with a heart full of courage on graduation day.
This summer, afternoons on Channel 2 are
Simply irresistible.
Beginning Monday, Heart to Heart puts sizzle into your summer.
Darling, I knew you were good.
Simply irresistible.
Heart to Heart, 5 days a week at 3.
You might be surprised.
Simply irresistible.
It's simply irresistible. Heart to Heart, weekdays at 3, beginning Monday.
Simply irresistible.
Followed by The People's Court at 4, only on Channel 2.
Nobody wants the last waffle.
Okay, who wants the last waffle?
David does. Mom, it's stale. It's been in there for 2 whole weeks.
Introducing the Stay Fresh resealable bag, only from Aunt Jemima.
Thanks, Mom.
Now the last waffle tastes as fresh as the first.
It's delicious. Why does she get the last waffle?
Because you two boys haven't learned how to use a fork yet.
Cavemen.
The Stay Fresh resealable bag, only from Aunt Jemima. Now the last waffle tastes as fresh as the first.
People are always asking me, where's the Kissimmee St. Cloud Resort area? Why, we're the best place to stay in Central Florida if you're visiting the Walt Disney World Resort, SeaWorld, Boardwalk and Baseball, or Kennedy Space Center. You'll see Western shows, jousting nights, Florida Gators, live rock and roll music, and water parks. Kissimmee St. Cloud is in the middle of everything, so call now for a free brochure. I'm waiting.
Right now, during the Nissan After Nissan celebration, we've got great deal after great deal on our cars and trucks, like $1,000 cash back on the reliable Sentra 2-door XE, or $1,000 cash back on the powerful hardbody 4x2. Or you could make your best deal on one of the 30 other models we've got. That's a lot of cars and trucks, which means you could have a problem deciding just which one you want. But this event won't last long, so you better hurry to your Nissan dealers now. That way you'll have plenty of time to make up your mind. Nissan after Nissan after Nissan. So many cars, so little time. I've got dibs on the red one.
President Bush and Mikhail Gorbachev have ended their summit, and tonight the Soviet leader is in the Midwest. Gorbachev arrived in Minneapolis this afternoon after 4 days of talks that left he and the president personally closer, but sharply divided on some very sensitive issues. Political editor Mike Flannery covered the summit in Washington.
The Washington leg of Mikhail Gorbachev's journey ended with a musical fanfare, a 21-gun salute,
and a joint news conference where he delivered a tough warning for the state of Israel. He may halt the flow of Soviet Jewish immigrants to Israel unless the Israeli government halts new settlements in its occupied territories.
Those who leave from the Soviet Union should not be resettled on occupied territories. The Soviet Union is now being bombarded by a lot of criticism from Arab countries. Some people are raising the matter in these terms in the Soviet Union, namely, as long as there are no assurances from the Israelis that this is not going to be done by them, to postpone issuing permits for exit.
About 70,000 Soviet Jews are expected to move to Israel this year, so many that Arabs fear a shift in the Middle East balance of power. For his part, President Bush today also warned the Israelis against new settlements, but he pointedly noted that free Soviet immigration was an absolute precondition to expanding trade with the Soviets, something Gorbachev desperately wants for his beleaguered economy. Bush argued that despite big differences between the U.S. and USSR on the Middle East and other hot spots, such deals do make sense.
I signed the trade agreement because I am convinced that it is in the best interest of the United States.
It was announced today that the Chevron company will search for oil in the Soviet Union and IBM will sell computers there. Both deals likely to draw criticism here on Capitol Hill when Congress sits down to review the Bush-Gorbachev agreements. Mike Flannery, Channel 2 News.
More agreements were signed at this summit than at any other U.S.-Soviet summit in history.
Here in Chicago, more than 100 Chinese students rallied at the Chinese consulate downtown. They gathered in memory of the hundreds of students killed in the bloody battle with Chinese troops in Tiananmen Square nearly 1 year ago in Beijing. Many of the students who took part in the protest have relatives in China. They say an unknown number of students are still in Chinese government prisons.
2 months ago, a young girl was in a terrible car crash that left her paralyzed. But through strength and courage, she did something today that many thought she would never be able to do. She graduated from high school. Burley Hines was there.
18-year-old Carrie Pinter almost died last March in a devastating auto accident that left her paralyzed from the waist down. Some thought she would never make it, but she did. Now she's surprising them again. She's been given a special pass from Loyola Medical Center to attend her own graduation.
I feel so lucky to be able to go. And I can't wait to go. It's like a dream.
Carrie's parents, Andrew and Denise Pinter, never doubted their daughter's determination.
She is self-motivated, determined. She studied ballet for several years and was very good at it.
We're looking forward to this day because this is Carrie's idea to go to the commencement ceremonies. She feels, and she's told us, is that she's worked hard for 4 years. It's her, graduation is every high school child's goal.
So it was on to Fenton High School in Bensonville. None of her high school friends knew she would come to the graduation. They gave her a rousing ovation when she was introduced. Carrie was the first to receive her high school diploma. And when the other graduates came up to get their diplomas, many of them detoured to Carrie's side.
It was beautiful. And I just feel great. It's wonderful.
Words can't describe it. I'm just happy that we're here and Carrie got to go to her graduation.
She's too feisty. I knew she'd make it. She was determined to go from the start, so.
It's unlikely that Carrie will ever dance again. She wanted a career in dancing. But another goal she set is going to college. And nobody's saying she won't do it. Burley Hines, Channel 2 News.
After the graduation ceremony, Carrie was brought back to the hospital where she must undergo several more months of treatment.
Next up on Channel 2 News, dramatic pictures of a tornado that devastated southern Indiana. And Mike Chalinas will tell us about the strange weather we're having right here in the Chicago area.
A lot of people have taken on the Baja Desert, but we did it with a Toro wheel-horse lawn tractor. Toros are built with cast iron parts and backed by our total coverage guarantee for 2 years, or we'll pick them up and fix them free. So how did we do over 500 miles of open desert? Well, at 4 days, 14 hours, and 36 minutes, we didn't exactly finish first. We did, however, finish.
For details about the total coverage guarantee, see these dealers.
Daryl, didn't you just sell Jim here at Lincoln Continental?
Sure did.
Well, it says here the Cadillac DeVille is sticker priced $1,800 less than Lincoln Continental. It says here a 3-year-old Cadillac DeVille retained a higher percentage of its original value. And it says here when you buy a new Cadillac DeVille, you can get $1,500 cash back, direct from Cadillac.
Ooh, I've got to be going.
Hold it, Darryl. You still got a shave coming.
It was a terrible Saturday night in southern Indiana. Tornadoes struck. They killed 8 people and injured at least 150. This horror was one of 15 twisters that touched down last night. Most of the deaths were in the towns of Bedford and Petersburg. At least 100 homes and businesses were destroyed in Petersburg alone. Indiana Governor Evan Bayh has gone to the area to personally inspect the damage.
There's been lots of violent weather in downstate Illinois as well, and it was really gusty here today, Mike.
We had some heavy-duty winds. Just to show you how windy it is, we had a peak gust of 207 at O'Hare today of 62 miles an hour. That's 12 miles short of hurricane-force winds. Just to show you what it was like around, these people on Michigan Avenue had a hard time just staying upright walking down the street. A man at the Hancock Center had to saw off a tree because they were afraid it would fall on people walking by. Lots of trees did fall, and lots of branches, but fortunately no one got hurt. Bike riders here at the Cancer Society Bike-a-thon must have felt like they were sailing instead of riding bikes. Out in the far west suburbs, a wall came tumbling down from a house, and the wind blew thick clouds of dust from farmers' fields from downstate, cutting the visibility all over the place. And look at this shot on the Northwest Tollway, on the East-West Tollway. Check that. Just hard for the cameraman to stand up, much less take video in the afternoon. Boy, awfully windy out there, but there is some good news. The winds are starting to die down a little bit. 55 degrees is the temperature at O'Hare now, 55 along the lakefront, 58 at Midway, and 70 degrees in Gary. The afternoon high, 71 degrees, but that was early this morning. The afternoon or the morning low is the actual current temperature, 55 degrees as we speak. Relative humidity now down to 53%. The winds are out of the west at 26 miles an hour. At times gusting now to 37 miles an hour. But the pressure is rising, which means the weather is starting to stabilize at 29.74 inches of mercury. Here's a look at the big picture now. Satellite photo across the United States showing for a change there is more nice weather than foul weather. Throughout the deserts of the southwest, things look very, very nice. But here, we're still dealing with quite a bit of cloud cover. It's all caused now by this ultra-strong low-pressure center that's located well to the north of us. It has an intense upper-level support base. That, as it combines with this high-pressure cell over Saskatchewan, is funneling down lots of cold Canadian air, and along with that, quite a bit of wind. Now, the secondary frontal system is finally through the area, so as it continues to sink further to the south, we'll see improved weather as the nighttime goes along, and by tomorrow, plenty of sunshine with warmer temperatures than what we've been seeing, and finally an end to all the wind. Unfortunately for the folks out east, though, it's only beginning. That warm, moist air that continues to be pulled up from the southern states is butting right into that cool, dry air, and so it's thunderstorms galore from Texas right throughout the southern Gulf Coast states and all the way up the eastern seaboard. There is a little band of showers that's moving now actively throughout southeastern Michigan, portions of Ohio, and as well the state of Indiana, but all that's moving away from us, and so the clouds are as well. With that in mind, sunshine for tomorrow and as well for Tuesday. Temperatures in the mid-60s, I think, for tomorrow with kind of a cool northerly breeze. And then for Tuesday, temperatures up in the low 70s with plenty of sunshine. So all you bosses out there, if your employees are not there, you maybe have a good idea why ahead of time. Here's the forecast now for the rest of tonight. We're looking for showers, maybe early, but I don't think really a good chance, that great of a chance for them. Clearing late and then winds dying down, 43 to 47 degrees for the overnight low. West-northwesterly winds at 10 to 18 miles an hour by nighttime. And for tomorrow, mostly sunny, 64 to 68 degrees for the afternoon high. Winds out of the north-northwest at 8 to 15 miles an hour. Here's the good news now for Tuesday. Look at this, plenty of sunshine, 72 degrees for the high. Then on Wednesday and Thursday, a chance for showers with temperatures in the mid-70s, 75 on Friday with partly cloudy skies. And it is hard to believe that we are just 12 miles short of really seeing hurricane-force winds here in the Chicago area today.
Crazy stuff.
All right, thanks,
Fly
Mike.
kite in that, huh?
Yeah, really. In a few moments, Howard will be back with more Bulls highlights and post-game interviews, and we'll check out the Cubs as they try to make it 2 out of 3 over the Cardinals.
A long shot at best coming into the game, and then with the starting guard Paxson being out and Scottie Pippen having problems, they had no shot. Pippen had migraine headaches this weekend that affected his vision today, and that helped to do the Bulls in.
But I was dealing with some headaches from yesterday, and the day I came out, I think, as I was warming up, my vision just wasn't clear. I wasn't able to really see anything, and I just felt like it had something to do with the headaches that I had been dealing with.
We're beaten by the better team. There's no doubt about the Pistons being better than we are at this time. We're not satisfied with our season. And we got respect from the Pistons this time around, and they know that we're for real.
Certainly they're the best team. They show you all phases of the game. They got many weapons offensively. They got a good team defense. They got two good individual defensive players. They show you all phases of the game. Pick, roll, rebounding, offensive rebounding, defense, and that's why they're the best team.
And that's 3 straight years we've heard similar comments as the season ended. The Bulls take the Pistons, though, as far as they've ever taken them, 7 games, but didn't do enough to take themselves to the NBA Finals. We'll have Coach Phil Jackson in here to talk about it all on Sports Extra tonight at 10:30. In baseball, not much better news. The Cubs lose to the Cardinals again in the fight for last place. It was over by the 5th inning. Milt Thompson, 2-run homer, and the Cardinals opened a 7-1 lead. The Cubs did some hitting to close the gap. 7th inning, they scored 3. Luis Salazar, base hit up the middle. Mark Grace had tripled. He comes home. Cubs pull it to 7-3, but that's how it ended. The Cards beat the Cubs this afternoon. The Sox play tonight. Last night, they get good enough pitching, but not enough hitting to go with it. Robin Ventura with a base hit to center field. Sammy Sosa scored to tie it 1-1 in the 3rd inning. Eric King on the mound had some good plays behind him. Watch Ozzie Guillen grab it. It's barehanded. Grabs it with the right hand and fires it and gets Kirby Puckett. Then on to the 8th inning. The Twins get the big hit. Dan Gladden belts a double out to left center field. The winning run scores 2-1 the final. 30,000 watched at Comiskey Park. The Sox and Twins go at it once again tonight. On the scoreboard this afternoon, Kansas City did the Sox a favor. They beat Oakland. Toronto over Milwaukee. Boston beat Cleveland. Baltimore over the Yankees 4-3. Detroit leading in the 7th inning. California and Texas tonight. Back to the National League. Besides the Cubs loss, Montreal beat Pittsburgh 4-3. Philadelphia over the Mets. Cincinnati leading the Dodgers. That's in the 9th inning now. Atlanta over San Diego 4-2, and San Francisco beat Houston. That was 4-3. Some fireworks in the Red Sox-Indians game today. Roger Clemens hits the first batter of the day, Stan Jefferson. Then while the umpire was warning both teams about throwing at hitters, Tony Pena sprints out of the dugout. Then in the middle of the pack, Pena and Chris James went at each other. This has been building between the teams for a couple of nights now. James and Pena were both thrown out of the game. Last night, there was a no-hitter in baseball. 6'10" Randy Johnson of Seattle. No hits, Detroit. They call him Big Unit at 6'10", and he blew the Tigers away. Johnson provides a big thrill on a perennial loser.
I didn't talk to too many people on the bench, and I didn't even really try and think about it, you know. I just tried to take my mind off of it, off the whole situation, and then when it happened, it happened. I'm just ecstatic right now. I'm probably blabbering right now. But,
He's right. He was blabbering. Well, what's wrong with blabbering? I do it out here every night. More blabbering about the Bulls tonight at 10 o'clock. And on the extra, as I said, Phil Jackson's going to be in here to talk a little more about it.
All right, great. Thanks, Howard. That'll do it for our news this Sunday night. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you again tonight at 10.
Good night.
Look to Jewel to spice up your menu plans. Start with thick and hearty or garden-style ragu spaghetti sauce. Just 99 cents a jar with coupon. Save $1 on Tombstone singles or Tombstone thin crust pizza with coupon. And for a zesty taste every time, it's McCormick pepper. A 4-ounce can is $1.59. To spice up your menus.
Take a look at home, friends you love.
Recently, Four-Wheeled Off-Road magazine took this year's 4x4 of the Year winner and all the past winners and conducted a head-to-head showdown to determine the best of the best. So who won? Who do you think? There are a lot of 4x4s out there, but there's only one Jeep.
Get $1,000 cash back on Jeep Cherokee.
See your Chicagoland Jeep Eagle dealer today.
Weekend News is a presentation of Channel 2, Chicago's station for news.